Well, howdy, partner. This is 3-Minute Game Pass, and I'm Nathan. Are you ready to mosey on down to the Weird West? Somebody's poisoned the water hole. Tarnation, it's them werewolf boys again. I'm not doing this voice review. That was it, I promise. Weird West is an Xbox and PC cross-release that you can also buy on PS4 and PS5. It does feature cross-save, which is pretty great. There's also Series S and X upgrade for better frame rates and visuals, and the game will last you around 20 to 30 hours. So what exactly is Weird West? Well, it's an isometric action-ish RPG with a heavy emphasis on stealth, story, an interactive world, and combat. If I were to compare it to another game, I would say it's very similar to the original Fallout games on PC. You play as actually 5 unique characters, which I will only show footage of the first one to not spoil it, each with their own section of the game, whose stories will cross in similar paths, locations, and reoccurring NPCs. These include a retired bounty hunter, a pigman, a werewolf, and so on. The West is weird, you see. The Weird West setting is also the core draw, as it is essentially a Western infused with a whole ton of horror elements. The aforementioned werewolves, vampires, pigmen, and such are joined by cannibals, demons, cultists, and eldritch horrors, as the West is overrun with monsters and, well, weirdness. The core gameplay I describe as an isometric tactical dual-stick shooter. You're armed with an assortment of weapon types, pistols, shotguns, rifles, and throwables, and it's up to you to use cover, stealth, or just excellent shooting to fight your way through and explore every zone to complete missions. Killing enemies gives loot in the form of basic items or weapons, which you'll either sell or break down for more ammunition. The game uses quick save to encourage and reward creative play, be that via stealth, environment exploitation, and so on. Since there is no XP gain, fighting for the sake of fighting is often discouraged, meaning pacifist or stealthy players will be well rewarded. Zones are connected in a world map where you traverse from key location to the next, similar to Fallout 1 and 2, with the chance of a random encounter along the way. Also available are towns where lots of the story elements and quest giving resides. The Weird West does have a neat twist where you can kill essentially anybody, severing quest lines or cutting ahead of them should you wish. There's also a companion system where you can recruit followers to aid you, as well as learn their backstories along the way. So overall, this is a tactical stealth game with a lot of great RPG-style living world interactions and a whole lot of horror western weirdness. So what do I like about Weird West? Well, the game's general tone and aesthetic is just wonderful, it being both grotesque, horrifying, and humorous. Wild West and monster/body horror is a great mix. Combat is also extremely satisfying once you master it, with a mix of abilities, weapons, slow motion, and stealth all working together wonderfully to give you tons of options in every encounter to play as you wish. And lastly, the story and interactive world elements are fantastic, with me super interested in seeing how these 5 characters not only interconnected, but had an influence across the Weird West, as each of them would interact with characters I knew and cared about previously. When it comes to the bad, the inventory management and item pickups are very poor in this game, with it taking way too long to not only pick up items but also destroy items, manage your inventory. The whole inventory system is a mess. The game is also fairly difficult, particularly on a controller, even if you put it on the easiest settings. I would preference a mouse and keyboard, but even that has some issues. The controls generally are finicky and take a while to get used to. I wouldn't say they're terrible, but they aren't easy. And lastly, I encountered more than a few bugs throughout my playthrough, mostly around companions, but I will say a quick reload would often fix those issues. As you know, I rate games here on a 3-point scale: must play, maybe consider, don't bother. I do think Weird West is a must play. The game has been polarizing for some, considering its difficulty and marked old school inspired gameplay elements, but as a fan of the original Fallout games, as well as older RPGs like Planescape Torment and Baldur's Gate, I had an absolute blast with Weird West, and I think it's a great entry point into that genre. Its fantastic aesthetic played really well into the difficult, brutal combat, and there was always something interesting to see as I traversed deeper and deeper into the Twisted West. I was hooked to the end. That's all I got for you today, you varmint. Now go out there and you enjoy the hell out of that Weird West. Alright, I did it one more time, I'm sorry.